state government has vowed to take a strict action against these practices at various hotels. We're talking about 52 hotels who have been found to be using polythenes to prepare idli, to steam idlis in the state of Karnataka, and there has been a crackdown now on those very establishments.
मेरे तरफ से हमारे जो एसोसिएशन का सदस्य को सारे राज्य में हम बोल चुके हैं कोई भी प्लास्टिक यूज़ करना नहीं है। और आजकल इडली बनाने को पहले से हम कपड़ा से करते थे, आजकल नॉन स्टिक ट्रे भी आ गया, वो दोनों यूज़ करना है, प्लास्टिक कभी भी यूज़ नहीं करना करके हम बताए थे। पेपर में जो आते होटल है वो छोटा मोटा होटल, उधर आपको मालूम है फुटपाथ का साइड में छोटा मोटा बनाते हैं, उन लोगों से बना दिया होगा, फिर भी हम उसको भी ये सभी इंफॉर्मेशन देते हैं, उनको भी कपड़ा या नॉन स्टिक ट्रे यूज़ करने के लिए बताते हैं।
हम एसोसिएशन में हमारे वी आर हैविंग गुड प्रेसिडेंट मिस्टर जी.के. शेट्टी. He is every month explain for this plastic and government also cooperate this. 100% होटल here not using plastic. Only फुटपाथ आदमी करते हैं, उसको भी ऑर्डर कर रहे हैं। विद इन दिस 1 or 2 months में पूरा क्लोज होते हैं। उसका बात नहीं, अच्छा क्वालिटी देते हैं। होटल में 100% बिल्कुल नहीं यूज़ करते, ओनली कपड़ा में इडली बनाते, क्या करें तो वो कब बनाते।
We're opening our call lines for our viewers to, in fact, join us, share in your views, because, of course, this crackdown has also led to a huge amount of fear within the people who are residing in Karnataka, whether or not they are consuming the idlis, which are not posing that health risk, is also that big question, because the use of polythene for steaming idli is definitely a health hazard. It is carcinogenic and something that has, in fact, been found out after this crackdown by the Food and Safety Department in Karnataka. Before we get in our callers to join us, we also have Sudat Bhardwaj, my colleague, who's with us on the broadcast. So that, what are you learning from on ground about this crackdown, about these hotels who in fact have been found to be using polythene to steam idlis? What are you learning from them?
Well, one for a fact is that yes, the crackdown has been on, inspections have taken place at 681 hotels, and 52 food joints have been found to use plastic paper in the preparation of idlis, in the steaming of idlis. But one thing I found is, of course, no one agreed to come on record, but one of the owners that we spoke to, said that he was unaware of how plastic was actually a hazard, and they have been using this for several years now. So clearly awareness is also an issue. There are many roadside eateries and joints that are clearly unaware of how plastic can actually pose any kind of health hazard. They have been using this for a long while, is what we hear, and that's why they have continued with the practice. So clearly it's just not about enforcing and cracking down. An awareness drive is also very much necessary. The health department of Karnataka has to go around, ensure that all the joints, especially roadside eateries, are at least well made aware of basic hygienic practices, or practices that can avoid any such kind of health hazards, how plastic should be used, how it should not be used. All this should perhaps be intimated to all these roadside joints. So that is one thing we can gather from the ground. There is also an awareness issue that has clearly prevailing across the Karnataka and even city, and this must be a prevalent issue that has that is the case everywhere. So that is one thing we can pick up upon. So of course there is also more clarity that is needed from the government side in this regard, because while they say that plastic sheets should not be used, there are also no clear guidelines yet as to what kind of plastic cannot be used. Because remember, all these food delivery platforms also use plastic containers to carry hot food. So that too can definitely pose a risk. So guidelines are also required from the Karnataka government in this regard about how or what forms of plastic are not allowed, or what kind of guidelines should actually be there in place, so that all joints also have clarity about what kind of usage of plastic is okay, what kind of food grade plastic can actually be used, and what should not be used. While they have just enforced general guidelines about how plastic sheets should not be used in the preparation of idlis. What about other food items? That is also something the government has to see.
Absolutely, and so that these are larger questions that need to be raised and they need to be addressed by not just the government in Karnataka but also throughout the country. But specifically, when the government here is talking about how 250 samples, idli samples, were collected from locations all across Karnataka, and that's when, on inspection, they found that about 50 odd hotels really pose that health risk of using plastic or polythene to steam idlis. Which hotel establishments are they talking about, or are these just pushcart owners?
Well, they say, what we hear from the health department is that this is a special drive that was carried across hotels, darshinis as they call here, local food joints, as well as roadside eateries as well. So it is a mix of both. And in the 52 samples that the Karnataka health department found out where, plastic was used to steam idlis, largely they were from roadside eateries and small food carts. So clearly, as I mentioned before, this is a awareness issue as well. That is something that the Karnataka Health Department has to work on. While the Hotel Owners Association chief here, PC Rao, has said that this is largely restricted to small eateries and no proper solid establishments actually use plastic in this regard. This is still going to be a point of concern. The Health Department also has to ensure that they carry out drives everywhere, because there is of course going to be a chance, an odd chance of a hotel too perhaps using plastic sheets. So this is something that the health department has to take into cognizance, because if they just check street side vendors, they're obviously going to find a larger sample of vendors using this. But what about hotels and what kind of plastic they use? That also has to be taken into account.
Anything that the hotel management there in Karnataka is really saying, responding to this latest crackdown by the health department there in Karnataka? So that?
Well, in fact, yes, the Hotel Owners Association chief here, PC Rao, has mentioned that, this is largely restricted to roadside joints. This is what he said when actually asked about it. He says that, none of the well-established hotels in the city, actually have any sort of usage of plastic when it comes to preparation of idlis. But he also did say that he would, also ensure that any small hotels using this are barred from, taking such a step. So he did say that, they will also take some sort of action to see if local hotels are using this as well. But so far what we hear is that this is not, something that is seen in large establishments and well-popular hotels in the city. So this is something restricted to small joints or roadside eateries.
Right, so that, did you go to the ground? What did you exactly find over there? Because like I have mentioned, this is in fact being a really concerning update that we are getting out of Karnataka. If at all, what is a staple breakfast in a state like Karnataka has this health risk? What do people do who are residing in the states? And we're not just talking about people who in fact order in. We're also talking about the common people, or probably people who are from the working class, who in fact go to these roadside pushcarts to consume the idlis for that matter, and that's a health hazard. And if the Karnataka government is looking to cracking down on also these pushcarts, that's a welcome step.
Well, the Karnataka government has said that they have issued notices to all these small push carts and, small vendors, and that 52 of them have received notices. What we heard is that when asked about what kind of more crackdowns will actually be in place to ensure this, they said that they will carry out more special drives. Remember, this is not a total blanket ban that has been announced yet. What Health Minister Dinesh Kundarao says is one cannot necessarily impose a ban, but that this must be common sense that must prevail, that, plastic cannot be used in the preparation of food, especially when you're steaming items like idlis. So remember, a lot of lower middle class people, or in fact people on the run, like auto drivers or cab drivers, or many such people who travel to offices early in the morning, frequent these small joints and sometimes have a quick bite. And idli is seen as a very healthy, quick option. But if health hazards are actually there in place like this, the health department has to really take this into notice. They did say that they will carry out more special drives in the future and perhaps find out any more violations.
Right, so that do stay on with us. We are now joined by a guest on the broadcast, Dr. Mohsen Wali, who's a health expert, also a Padma Shri awardee, is with us on the broadcast. Dr. Wali, first of all, what do you make of this crackdown in Karnataka? Is this a revelation for you that something like this has been found in a state where idli is a staple food?
This is shocking because idli is supposed to be one of the purest form of the South Indian food stuff, and it is giving an impression that either rice is contaminated or the water in which this is prepared is contaminated. And this microplastic has become part of our daily life, so much so that from the testicular samples of the males it has been identified and isolated. The seas have become flooded with microplastics. So everything coming through the sea or for the sea or from the sea is laden with dangerous levels of microplastics, which is very, very sickening and very dangerous. And for the younger generation also, this is very dangerous to consume those levels of microplastics which are uncalled for and unheard in the past. So basically,
Dr. Wali,
it is
yes. Dr. Wali, I also want to understand, and this is a concern that was raised by our colleagues who went on ground also. We're not just talking about established restaurants, we're also talking about these pushcart vendors, many of them who, after having been spoken to by us and by our colleagues, they did not even know the carcinogenic properties that plastic really entails, and they were unaware with the use of plastic and how it really causes the severe health risk. What would you say to those people, and hence what kind of advisory do you expect from the government to in fact be put out so that the people can be made aware on why plastic should not be used when it is about food?
You know, we have been hearing for past 2-3 years that there is artificial rice, and this component can be checked thoroughly. At the outlets of rice, samples should be collected because the raw material for idli is rice. And if the rice is not good, not pure, not natural, it can lead to such exposures and such breakthroughs.
Yes.
I am calling this a very dangerous breakthrough because this was unheard in the past. And idli is supposed to be very safe food unless you mix it with lot of spices or sambar. And idli itself is a very pure food and very natural food and produced by single ingredient, that is rice and rice water. So
Right, Dr.
having this kind of report from idli, and the
Yes.
vendors especially are innocent, I would say them. They don't know anything. They have to
Yes.
sell it. They have to procure from wholesalers and
And hence
retail
there
it.
is a greater need for sensitization. Dr. Wali, thank you so much for joining us and sharing in your expert opinion on this latest story that we're tracking out of Karnataka, a concerning piece of news that concerns each and every person who is residing not just in the state of Karnataka from where this crackdown has been announced, but also elsewhere where this plastic or polythene is commonly used without even being aware of the carcinogenic tendencies that it in fact entails. Let's also bring to you this report that my colleague Sudat has filed from one of this pushcart seller on what he found while he was on ground. Let's take a look at that.
We are here in Bengaluru's majestic area, and a new food hazard, a health hazard is coming to notice here in the city especially. The state's health department has conducted raids in 681 locations across Karnataka in February 2025, that is this month, and has found out that 52 locations serve idlis that contain traces of plastic as a result of using plastic sheets in the idli stand to steam the idlis. This is a wider crackdown that has been carried out by the Karnataka Health Department to find out any unsuitable food samples. It is also being carried out for bottled water, and the results are yet to be out in that regard, but they are also carrying out samples of fried peas that are being consumed and have found artificial flavor there. And again, as part of the special drive where they have covered water bottles, fried peas and idlis, they have found at 52 locations across Karnataka, and especially in the cities, darshinis or popular food joints and roadside eateries as well, that use plastic sheets that are used to steam the idlis. So the Karnataka Health Department has issued a strict notice saying that fines will be levied, and notices have been served to 52 of these establishments that have been using plastic instead of cotton cloths to steam their idlis. So as you can see right here, this is one of those idli stands. As you can clearly see, you can drag along, you can clearly see that the idlis are being steamed. in a plastic sheet as well. Clearly, this is a proper health hazard. You can see a tray full of idlis that have been steamed in plastic, and this definitely poses a huge health risk to all the consumers. Many who actually consume regularly in these small joints, many who frequent these small joints on a daily basis for a quick breakfast or a quick snack perhaps, and you can clearly see that plastic is still being used despite a strict issue being noticed or special direction being issued by the Karnataka Health Department.
And so that continues to be with us on the broadcast. So that we were just playing out your ground report from one of the darshanis or the popular local food outlets. I wanted to understand, what is the footfall like that these darshanis really see on a day-wise basis? How many people roughly do come and frequent these food joints so that we can assess what kind of health hazard are we talking about here?
Well, at the time we frequented, around 3:30 is when this shop was actually, pretty much closed, or rather preparing for the evening session. And, we managed to get at a point where there was actually not footfall. But these joints, open as early as 6 a.m. in the morning, sometimes even 5 a.m. in the morning. And, they're open all the way until the night as well. So thousands actually frequent these small joints. Remember, cab drivers, auto drivers, or anyone, who works during the odd hours as well, they come here for a quick bite because these joints are open, late into the night and sometimes open very early in the morning as well. So many of these small joints in the city are frequented by laborers or, blue collar workers, and many people from the lower middle class or middle class actually frequent these joints regularly. So you actually see these small joints being frequented by anywhere close to 5,000 people a day. Easily you can see sometimes even it can range from 2,000 to 5,000 people a day, and sometimes can even go more. So they also see a lot of sales. So these are actually small joints that are frequented by thousands of people on a daily basis. So there is a definite risk factor that is associated here. But again, as I mentioned before, awareness is a big issue here, because one of the vendors that we questioned, he had no idea that plastic actually posed any form of risk at all.
Yes.
And he said that after the BBMP warned him, and after the health department officials actually came and warned him, is when he actually came to know
Yes.
about what exactly is the risk that goes behind this, and said that he would correct them as soon as possible. But yes, the awareness drive is clearly the need of the hour before actually cracking down on such joints.
Absolutely. So do stay on with us. We have a caller who's joining us. Murli from Bengaluru is with us on the broadcast. Murli, when you got to know of this sort of a crackdown by the Food and Safety Department in Karnataka, and got to know that 52 odd outlets in Karnataka are using polythene to steam idli, how concerned were you as a consumer?
First thing in instance, what has been projected, this definitely is something which needs to be taken care of, in fact. It's something wrong, in fact. But one thing I can tell you is, generally in small hotels also, darshanis or small hotels or even thing, they are using cloth. I find it's only the street vendors or very small petty shops fellows use this plastic sheets and all that. It should not be there should be a awareness drive which is being conducted by the government rather than penalizing everybody. But it sends out the wrong message. Idli is in fact considered as a very good staple food. In fact,
Yes.
it is called as rice cake by doctors. When you have some problem with fever or something like, they generally advocate you to take rice idli, rice cake. In fact, that is advocated so that digestion is better, in fact. And of course, the sheet what they use is bad, in fact. But that should not be made as a pretext to say all idlis in Bangalore made is bad, in fact. That should not be the way how it has to be projected. But it has been correctly projected, and some people who came on the panel, they did not know how the idli is made. In fact, idli is it's not from the rice or is not from the plastics. The microplastics are not from the. You should correct them. It is not from the rice or something like that. It is from the plastic which is being used, sheets which are being used when they are steaming it, in fact.
No, absolutely. And that's what we are saying, Murli. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing in your views there. One of the concerned callers who's joined us from Bengaluru, talking about how steaming of idli by using polythene sheets isn't right. Something that is carcinogenic and something that needs to be stopped. If that is a practice that is prevalent now in Karnataka, we are also talking about just these pushcart sellers, and they need to be sensitized so that that usage has to go from Karnataka. We leave it at that. We are now getting some breaking news on the broadcast. Remember, we've been talking about the Kerala Pradesh Congress Committee meeting that is happening in the national capital, and Rahul Gandhi is present at the meeting. Now we are getting these updates from the national capital. That meeting is underway. Rahul Gandhi, also Mallikarjun Kharge have reached the venue of this particular meeting. My colleague Pallavi Ghosh is with us on the broadcast. Pallavi, we were talking about how the contentious presence of Mr. Shashi Tharoor also is going to be part of the discussion. What can be expected from this KPCC meeting in the national capital?
See, this is going to be a very critical meeting because this is one state where the Congress party hopes to come back to power. That's the level of confidence, because Kerala also goes in for a cyclical pattern, and therefore the Congress-led UDF hopes to defeat the LDF at this point of time. But there are many egos, lots of ambitions, and a state of disarray within the Kerala Congress, and many claimants for the top job. Shashi Tharoor, if you see those pictures which we have put out, is very much sitting across the round table, not too far away from where the Congress President Rahul Gandhi and KC Venugopal are sitting. The main grievances which many of the Congress leaders from Kerala have against Shashi Tharoor is, one, they feel that he's always been an outsider. But he has proved himself by winning 4 times round from Thiruvananthapuram. But his recent articles where they complain that he seems to be supporting the economic growth story against the in favor of the LDF government has not gone down well. They have often complained to Rahul Gandhi that he seems to be very praising of the Modi government at a time when we should be taking on the Modi government, and this could have an impact on our chances in Kerala. Will they openly talk about it or in an oblique manner refer to this? I think the discomfort within the Kerala Congress and within Shashi Tharoor is very, very clear. He's been very open about the fact that all those allegations against me are unsubstantiated, and I'm going to clear the air. I'm ready to do so. I think at this point of time, the challenge for the Congress party will be to all of them put their heads together and work. It's a prestigious battle to win, because you have Rahul Gandhi, who was an MP from there at one point of time, and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra is a present MP from Wayanad, which is, of course, as we all know, in Kerala.
Right, absolutely. Pallavi, thank you so much for all of that information. So that meeting, the KPCC meeting, under the guidance of Rahul Gandhi, also the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge, is currently underway in Delhi. We also saw the likes of senior leaders like Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, also an MP from Wayanad, very much present at the meeting. We go into a very short break with that.
In its previous...
Think of it, a modestly successful comedian. President Zelensky talked the United States of America into spending $350 billion to go into a war that basically couldn't be won, that never had to start and never would have started if I was president, not even a chance, and it didn't start for 4 years. He refuses to have elections, is low in the real Ukrainian polls. I mean, how can you be high with every city is being demolished? It's hard to be high. Somebody said, oh no, his polls are good, give me a break. Every city is being demolished. They look like a demolition site, every single one of them. And the only thing he was really good at was playing Joe Biden like a fiddle. He played him like a fiddle. That's an expression we use, yes, sir, to say that he's pretty easy. Something I'll admit that only Trump is going to be able to do in the Trump administration. We're going to be able to do it. I think Putin even admitted that. Biden never tried. Europe has failed to bring peace, and Zelensky probably maybe he wants to keep the gravy train going. I don't know what's the problem, but he hasn't been able. He's very upset that he wasn't invited. He could have come if he wanted to, but that he wasn't invited to Saudi Arabia. But he's been working for 3 years. There's never been even meetings or phone calls to stop this war. It's a horrible thing. I love Ukraine, but Zelensky has done a terrible job. His country is shattered, and millions of people have unnecessarily died. And you can't bring a war to an end if you don't talk to both sides. You got to talk. They haven't been talking for 3 years.
Mr. President, you talked about having common ground with Keir Starmer, but there are things you disagree on as well. You described Zelensky as a dictator. He describes President Putin as a dictator. Do you see that as a problem?
The relationship between President Zelensky and President Putin is not a good one. You've noticed, right? It's not a good one. It's not a good relationship. And we're going to have to try and work something out. Sometimes that happens. I get along with both. I have a very good relationship with President Putin. I think I have a very good relationship with President Zelensky. And now we're doing the deal, and we're going to be in there. We're going to be actually in there and digging our hearts out. And hopefully, we need the rare earth, and we have some here, but we don't have enough. Our economy is very strong, and we need a lot of things that in some cases we don't have here. So I think we're going to have a very good relationship, but the relationship between them is not the best.
Mr. President, do you still think that Mr. Zelensky is a dictator?
Did I say that? I can't believe I said that. Next question.
Welcome back. You're watching The Nation at 5 with me, Griha. We are now getting some breaking news on the broadcast, and this is to do with the high-level meeting that was chaired by the Union Home Minister. He met with the Delhi Chief Minister and the other stakeholders when it is about law and order in the national capital. To tell you more about what really that meeting was all about, we have our colleague Arunima joining us. Yes, Arunima, just take us through the pointers of this meeting. What all was on the agenda?
So something very important was the decision that this review meeting will be held from here on every month. This is important because when Arvind Kejriwal's government was in power, there was complete breakdown of communication between the centre and the state government. The state accused the centre of not cooperating. The same countercharge flew from the centre side as well. So now that both sides have decided to meet every month, one just hopes that all the issues, because the centre under the National Capital Territory Act controls a lot of the factors which are important for governance of Delhi, services for example. So when the two governments work together, work in tandem, it is expected that development-wise it will be good for the national capital. In terms of law and order and security, a lot of important points discussed. The impact of international gangs which are carrying out extortion, killing in Delhi. The Bishnoi gang, for example, or the Goldie Brar gang or the Bambaiya gang. These gangs have been taking Delhi to ransom. So that was also discussed. Traffic issues, how to solve traffic woes of Delhi, development issues like PWD, like installation of more CCTV, how to ensure that women feel safe. All of these were discussed threadbare, and all stakeholders, Delhi Police, Delhi government and the Ministry of Home Affairs were present to discuss their issues.
Right, Arunima, before the BJP government came into power in the national capital, a lot was being said about illegal immigration coming in, especially from Bangladesh, allegedly. Was that too part of the discussion?
Was part of the because it deals with national security, it should be dealt with a very, very strong arm. Rohingya colonies, for example, or the allegation that there are a lot of neighborhoods where Bangladeshis with fake Aadhaar cards, with fake election I cards, are pretending to be Indians and staying there. This was an issue that was important for BJP in the run-up to the elections also. And in today's meeting also, this issue was flagged off. We expect Delhi to crack down on such colonies where they suspect that illegal immigrants are coming and pretending to be.
Right. We seem to have lost that link with Arunima. We apologize for the patchy audio. But like Arunima was mentioning, let's in fact take you through the minutes of that meeting. The first thing that we are learning of is how the Home Minister has said that the double-engine government of Delhi will be working with double speed for a developed and safe Delhi as per the expectations of Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself. Arunima is back with us. Arunima, you were talking about how there needs to be a crackdown on illegal immigration, something that was very much high on the agenda as far as this meeting is concerned. Also about the kind of recruitments that are needed as far as the police force is concerned to enforce those security measures in place. Anything on those lines too?
Yes, so specifically Delhi police related issues, they were already being handled by the Ministry of Home Affairs since law and order was never part of the mandate of the Delhi government. But earlier the problem was that the local MLAs felt that Delhi police was not taking into account their concerns that they were hearing, being public representatives from their constituency members. But now that both sides are on the same page, it is expected that Delhi police will have greater manpower. For example, one issue that was flagged off was that there were, in the previous Vidhan Sabha, there were 8 MLAs who were from the Bharatiya Janata Party. They alleged that in their constituency, CCTV was not set up. CCTV coverage was almost zero, and this was being done because they belong to BJP. So this partisan behavior is what was raised with the centre also. And today what has been decided is that CCTV coverage is going to be increased. Delhi police will have more boots on the ground. They will, take advantage of the MLAs and their workers at the booth level to figure out as to what is really plaguing the people of Delhi in terms of security and law and order, and take steps to ensure that those issues are addressed.
Right, Arunima, thank you so much for all of those details now. And on that note, we are shifting our focus. Let's talk about the state of Uttarakhand, where there has been a report that an avalanche has hit the Chamoli district in Uttarakhand, and border road organization workers, 57 of those have been trapped. Out of those 57, we are learning of how 16 workers have been rescued so far. This was the word that was coming in by the state chief minister. If we talk about where this incident took place, we are learning that this was near the border village of Marna, which is about 5 kilometers from the Badrinath temple. And as per the chief minister, 16 workers have been rescued so far and sent to the army camp near the Marna village. And they are, by the way, in a critical condition as the rescue operations continue in the area.
ये एवलांच आने से चूँकि वो जहाँ पर बैरिक बनी हुई थी उसी स्थान पर एवलांच आया है और बचाव के काम चल रहे हैं तेजी से। सभी चाहे आईटीबीपी है, सेना के लोग हैं, स्थानीय प्रशासन के लोग हैं, वायुसेना के लोग हैं, एक्सपर्ट हैं, सभी से वार्ता हो चुकी है। सभी लोग अपनी पूरी तरह से बचाव और राहत कार्य में लगे हुए हैं, जो भी जिस स्तर पर, क्योंकि मौसम थोड़ा अभी खराब है, विजिबिलिटी बहुत नहीं है, इसलिए हेलीकॉप्टर सेवा वहाँ पर नहीं हो पा रही है। और जो स्नो एक्सपर्ट हैं उनकी भी सेवाएं ली जा रही हैं और हम लोग भी यहाँ से लगातार मॉनिटरिंग कर रहे हैं। हमारा प्रयास है कि जल्दी से जल्दी जो भी हमारे उसमें मजदूर भाई फंसे हुए हैं, श्रमिक फंसे हुए हैं, काम करने वाले, उन सभी को जल्दी बाहर निकाला जाए।
जो माना में जो कंपनी है वो 23 बटालियन आईटीबीपी की है और वहाँ पर हमारे करीब 85-90 लोग ऑलरेडी डिप्लॉयड हैं और आज 2-3 दिनों से वहाँ वेदर खराब चल रहा था। प्रेडिक्शन भी था, आप सबको पता है कि न्यूज़ भी अलर्ट आया था कि 2-3 दिनों से वेदर खराब होने वाला है। सडनली आज मॉर्निंग अर्ली आवर से वहां पर हैवी स्नोफॉल होने लगा और उसी के कारण हैवी स्नोफॉल होने से वहां पर जो बीआरओ की जो कैंप है उसमें ड्यू टू हैवी स्नोफॉल ड्यू टू एवलांच थोड़ा उसको डैमेज हुआ है। रिपोर्ट के अनुसार करीब 10 लोगों को निकाला गया है वहां से।
अभी वहाँ पर स्थिति थोड़ा सा कठिन है क्योंकि लगातार बर्फबारी हो रही है। इसके बावजूद हमारे 65 लोगों की टीम वहाँ पर रेस्क्यू के काम में लगी हुई है और अभी तक 10 लोगों को निकाला गया है, बाकी लोगों को निकालने का काम किया जा रहा है और हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि हम बहुत जल्दी सबको निकालने में सफल होंगे। इसमें हमने आर्मी के हेलीकॉप्टर से डिमांड किया है, आर्मी हेलीकॉप्टर देने को तैयार है, बट दिक्कत आ रही है कि मौसम ख़राब है, हेलीकॉप्टर जा नहीं सकता वहाँ पे अभी और हम लोग मौसम खुलने का इंतजार कर रहे हैं। जो ही मौसम खुलता है तत्काल हम अत्यधिक मैन पावर वहाँ भेजकर रेस्क्यू के काम में तेज़ी लाएंगे। अभी जो नज़दीक के हॉस्पिटल हैं, बाना में हॉस्पिटल जो है आईटीबीपी का और आर्मी का, वहाँ पे कुछ लोगों को भर्ती कराया गया है।
My colleague Nitin Semwal is with us to offer, in fact, more updates on this rescue operation that continues, even as we talk about the 47 people who still remain trapped inside that avalanche as it took place. Nitin, क्या जानकारी दे सकते हैं, क्योंकि हमें ये सुनने में आ रहा है कि आईटीबीपी की टीम्स की भी मदद ली जा रही है। अभी डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट से ये बयान आ रहा था कि हम हेलीकॉप्टर्स, आर्मी हेलीकॉप्टर्स को भी सेवा में लाएंगे, उसके बारे में क्या जानकारी है और अभी क्या उम्मीद है प्रोग्रेस की रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशंस को लेकर?
जी, अगर बात करें तो अभी हम मौके पर पहुंचने की कोशिश कर रहे थे और लगभग जहां पे ये एवलांच टूटा है उससे लगभग 20 से 22 किलोमीटर तक हम वहां पे पहुंचे हैं, लेकिन भारी बर्फबारी की वजह से जो रेस्क्यू टीम है वो मौके पर नहीं पहुंच पा रही है। चाहे आईटीबीपी हो, आर्मी हो, स्थानीय प्रशासन की टीमें हैं, सभी रास्तों में खड़ी हैं। इंतजार हो रहा है कि थोड़ा सा मौसम सही हो, थोड़ा सा बर्फबारी रुके तो ये टीमें आगे को मूवमेंट करेगी। हालांकि आर्मी के हेलीकॉप्टर है, वायुसेना से मदद ली जाएगी और स्वाभाविक तौर पर ये सारी चीजें कल मॉर्निंग से ही शुरू होंगी, क्योंकि जिस तरीके से एवलांच टूटा है तो वहां पे 4 फीट तक 5 फीट तक बर्फ है और उस बर्फ में जो लोग अभी निकाले गए हैं लगभग 10 उनकी संख्या बताई जा रही है जिनको निकाला गया है, जिसमें कि 2 की हालत काफी गंभीर है। 47 लोग अभी भी उसके नीचे दबे हुए हैं एवलांच के नीचे, तो उनको निकालने के लिए वहां पे सर्च ऑपरेशन चल रहा है। लेकिन ये सारी चीजें अब शनिवार सुबह से ही शुरू हो पाएंगी। हेली जो है वो सुबह ही आएगा, क्योंकि यहाँ पे मौसम बिल्कुल खराब है और अब धीरे धीरे अंधेरा भी होने वाला है, तो मुश्किल थोड़ी से हालात बढ़ते जा रहे हैं। जी
Right, Nitin, thank you so much for all of those details there. So some trouble for the rescue workers as it is now post sundown and the rescue teams have in fact had a dead end. Right now they are looking at Saturday morning so that they can resume the rescue operations, and the army helicopters too can be pressed into service for these rescue and relief operations, as there are many BRO workers who are still trapped inside that avalanche. We right now shifting our focus. Let's now get you news again from the state of Karnataka, and this time we're talking about Siddaramaya's official bungalow Kaveri. The bungalow has been renovated, in fact is being renovated at a huge cost of about 2.6 crore rupees, and that is what the bone of contention really is, because here on the one hand the Karnataka government doesn't have the funds to fund its Congress guarantees that had been made at the start when they had come into power, and then they are going ahead for frivolous spending at a time when those guarantees are on hold. Here we are talking about how the Public Works Department is slated to undertake multiple projects. It includes the conducting and constructing of a helper room, setting up of toilets, storerooms, installation of storage racks, and also supply of kitchen items including crockery and utensils. Basically a splurge in the name of renovation work at the CM's bungalow, and obviously we are expecting sharp rebuttals from the Bharatiya Janata Party, the opposition in the state. Now remember, there's been no such response of the Congress on this latest controversy that is emanating out of the state of Karnataka. But in the past, there have been statements that have been made by the Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar on how there has been a helplessness on part of the Karnataka government of not being able to implement the guarantees that have been promised by the Siddaramaiah administration. And while we look at those statements on the one hand, on the other, we are seeing a renovation, and that too, which goes up to the cost of 2.6 crore rupees. So a splurge there in the name of renovation of the Chief Minister's bungalow. My colleague Harish Upadhyay is with us on the broadcast. Harish, we're talking about a splurge in the name of renovation on the one hand, and no money to fund the guarantees that have been promised by the Congress Sarkar. What is the response or the reason that really is coming in? Are they even coming up with any sort of a defense?
Well, the only defense that we've seen from the Congress is that there have been renovations earlier by other chief ministers during other governments. That's the only defense we've seen. But look at the circumstances. The Kalyan Karnataka board, which caters to at least 6 most backward districts of Karnataka, hasn't got enough funding. What was promised was 5,000 crores, and what they've got is a very meager amount. On the other hand, the chief minister, all his political life, has said he's a socialist. But just months ago, we have seen an incident, or at least a development, where he spent around 2.5-3 crore rupees on renovating his office chamber that's inside Vidhan Sauda. Now spending another 2.65 crore rupees on renovating his house. Remember, this residence, this official residence, Kaveri, has always been a bungalow for the chief minister, which means it has seen continuous maintenance and upkeep, and it has never been neglected. And just before taking over as chief minister and taking this bungalow, that bungalow was renovated for Siddaramaiah. Within under 2 years now, we are seeing a second renovation where 2.6 crore rupees is being spent. There are questions on whether a building needs so much of maintenance. This at a time when most Bengalurians from the middle class section would not even spend 1 crore to buy a flat, and you have a chief minister spending 2.5 crore rupees renovating his official residence. Many would ask, what is the priority of this government, and if the chief minister still calls himself a socialist?
Absolutely. Harish, thank you so much for that. Start with the roads, so we would say, because the roads in Karnataka, especially in the IT city Bengaluru, need all the attention and upkeep, and not the Chief Minister's residence. We'll leave it at that. Let's in fact go into a very short break, coming right back.
Brought to you by...
Think of it, a modestly successful comedian. President Zelensky talked the United States of America into spending $350 billion to go into a war that basically couldn't be won, that never had to start and never would have started if I was president, not even a chance, and it didn't start for 4 years. He refuses to have elections, is low in the real Ukrainian polls. I mean, how can you be high with every city is being demolished? It's hard to be high. Somebody said, oh no, his polls are good. Give me a break. Every city is being demolished. They look like a demolition site, every single one of them. And the only thing he was really good at was playing Joe Biden like a fiddle. He played him like a fiddle. That's an expression we use, Yasser, to say that he's pretty easy. Something I'll admit that only Trump is going to be able to do in the Trump administration. We're going to be able to do it. I think Putin even admitted that. Biden never tried. Europe has failed to bring peace, and Zelensky probably maybe he wants to keep the gravy train going. I don't know what's the problem, but he hasn't been able. He's very upset that he wasn't invited. He could have come if he wanted to, but that he wasn't invited to Saudi Arabia. But he's been working for 3 years. There's never been even meetings or phone calls to stop this war. It's a horrible thing. I love Ukraine, but Zelensky has done a terrible job. His country is shattered, and millions of people have unnecessarily died. And you can't bring a war to an end if you don't talk to both sides. You got to talk. They haven't been talking for 3 years.
Mr. President, you talked about having common ground with Keir Starmer, but there are things you disagree on as well. You described Zelensky as a dictator. He describes President Putin as a dictator. Do you see that as a problem?
The relationship between President Zelensky and President Putin is not a good one. You've noticed, right? It's not a good one. It's not a good relationship. And we're going to have to try and work something out. Sometimes that happens. I get along with both. I have a very good relationship with President Putin. I think I have a very good relationship with President Zelensky. And now we're we're doing the deal, then we're going to be in there. We're going to be actually in there, digging our hearts out, and hopefully, we need the rare earth, and we have some here, but we don't have enough. Our economy is very strong, and we need a lot of things that, in some cases, we don't have here. So I think we're going to have a very good relationship, but the relationship between them is not the best.
Mr. President, do you still think that Mr. Zelensky is a dictator?
Did I say that? I can't believe I said that. Next question.
Welcome back. You're watching The Nation at 5 with me, Griha. We are now getting you an exclusive interview with DMK MP Kanni Moi, who goes on to support the demand for implementing and staying with the two-language policy that is in the state of Tamil Nadu and which is very much at play, and refusing and refuting the implementation of the national education policy. She also goes on to talk about how the state chief minister M.K. Stalin has already called in for an all-party meeting, and how all parties except for the Bharatiya Janata Party do not want the three-language policy implementation in the state of Tamil Nadu. Listen in.
Us is senior leader and DMK MP Kanni Moi ma'am, thank you so much for talking to us. Let me begin by asking you, we've seen protests earlier today. Many students have also said no to Hindi imposition, and Chief Minister has invited people to stand with Tamil Nadu and join the language war. What is your message to the central government?
That education is in the concurrent list, and to try to arm twist or blackmail a state to accept whatever they want to impose on her, like the NEP, and withholding the funds which have to come rightfully to the state and the students of this state. I think it is it's totally unconstitutional and undemocratic, and this goes against what the country stands for. So I think it's time they stop it and they understand and respect the sentiments of the state.
BJP says that your party is using this as a political tool and weapon, keeping in mind the 2026 state assembly polls. How would you respond to that?
See, the 2026 polls is an assembly election. Even in the national elections, I don't think BJP has even won one seat. So why would we make something which is against the union government, against BJP as our election platform? Because I don't think when it comes to winning an election, BJP is very relevant in Tamil Nadu's politics. So why would we center our politics or narrative around BJP? It's absolutely unnecessary. There are other issues, there are other parties which are more relevant and as opposition parties in Tamil Nadu. So to make this an electrician platform, I think the Chief Minister and the leader of the DMK, I mean, he's been in politics for nearly, over 50 years, and he's learned from somebody like Dr. Kalainar, and I don't think the party would do something like that.
The statement that the BJP time and again is reiterating is that three-language formula does not necessarily mean that Hindi will be imposed. Hindi will be an optional language. Students can choose, and that the state government is denying the opportunity for students to learn a third language.
In 1976, when the rules of the official language resolutions were, clarified and made, there was one very important thing in it, that three language policies will be whichever states accept it. The North Indian states will learn one South Indian language, and the southern states will learn one North Indian language.
Let me take this across to my colleague Purnima, who is now with us on the broadcast. Purnima, we just heard what Kanimoi had to say. She's not just negating the presence of Bharatiya Janata Party in a state like Tamil Nadu, questioning their relevance as a political party in Tamil Nadu, but also strongly opposing the NAP.
Well, Kanimuri, in that conversation that we had with her a short while ago, says that in the 1970s, when there were recommendations made in the in the northern states, they had to introduce one of the southern languages, not just Tamil, but none of the southern languages were even considered in the northern states, whereas in the southern states, there were languages like Hindi that were considered, and therefore this whole debate or a statement that the BJP is making about how Hindi is just optional, regional languages like Tamil will also be given importance in other states, especially in the North India. She says this is not happening, and also says that in Kendra Vidyalaya Tamil Nadu schools, it's just Hindi and Sanskrit, no other regional languages, not Tamil, but even other regional southern languages are not really taught, and says that this is an attempt by the central government to impose Hindi, and therefore we till the DMK is in power, they will not implement the three-language formula. Adds that it's not just the DMK but even the main opposition, the AIA-DMK, has said no to the three-language formula. Except for the BJP, every other party has always opposed this, because this is what this is the spirit of Tamil Nadu, and they will definitely not allow Hindi imposition in any form. That's the word coming in from DMK leader Kanimuri as well.
Right, Purnima, thank you so much for all of those details there. An important conversation with the DMK MP Kanimoi, who is strongly opposing the three-language policy that the BJP is insisting be implemented in the state of Tamil Nadu. We're now getting some breaking news that's coming in from Pakistan. We're talking about the blast that had happened in Pakistan, and we are now learning that the ISKP or the Islamic State Khorasan province is in fact behind the Pakistan blast. We're learning that Maulana Hamid ul Haq of Jamaat Ulema Islam Sami was the target of this particular blast in Pakistan. He is the son of JUIS chief Maulana Sami ul Haq, and we're also being told that this particular university is home for 4,000 students where the blast took place, and this attack by the ISKP is possibly facilitated by ISI, because this attack is optics for the Haqqani leaders who are facing troubles externally and internally. So major blast there at the university, which is home to 4,000 students. ISKP, or the Islamic State Khorasan province, has been taking, probably this is what is coming out of Pakistan, that they are the ones who are responsible for this attack as per sources, and how this is going to be benefiting the Haqqani leaders is the conjecture that's been drawn. My colleague Siddhant Mishra is with us on the broadcast with all the details as far as this blast is concerned. Yes, Siddhant.
Well, that's right. Now, Manoj Gupta is telling us that this was perhaps the University of Jihad which has been attacked. Multiple killings in senior Taliban leader's son is also critical. An explosion was reported in the Madrasa Haqqaniya in a Kora attack, Nowshera, on Friday. According to rescue teams have been present. Several people are feared injured in the blast. The injured are being transferred to hospitals. The Darul Uloom Haqqani is one of the oldest seminaries in Pakistan and was established in 1947. Now, sources in Pakistan are telling this to Manoj Gupta that this is done by ISKP. The university is home for 4,000 students. Many Taliban leaders have passed out from here and fought against Russia and America. The ISKP attack is possibly facilitated by ISI because this attack is optics for Haqqani leaders of facing trouble externally and internally. Sources say ISI has managed this to give signal to Haqqanis that Kandhari leaders are still with them. CNN News 18 have been reporting extensively on the infighting between Haqqani and Kandhari groups. In fact, sources also tell this to Manoj Gupta that the rift has widened between Haqqani and the Kandhari groups. Sirajuddin missing from Kabul. There are a lot of leaders going different places. Sirajuddin Haqqani missing, Mullah Biradar and Stanik Zai also out of Kabul. Siraj is traveling with the permission from United Nations. According to sources, Haqqani is in Dubai and meeting people. Stanik Zai, who is considered to be liberal leader, educated and criticized. The other leader, Mullah Biradar, is in Doha. So, there's a lot of rift, infighting, and, it looks like the Taliban network is imploding. And in fact, earlier CNN News 18 reported major rift between Taliban and Haqqanis on various issues. But major rift was on the girls' education to be given. One side is more moderate, liberal. The other side is conservative and old school. Now, in fact, Kandhari group under Hibatullah wants to remove Haqqani from control of Afghanistan. Haqqani not working for Afghanistan but own Western interests perhaps has been a major concern for Hibatullah. Armed sublimation, petrol lock and key controls taken away from Haqqanis.
Right. Also, Siddhant, just throw light on when did this blast really take place before we are hearing from Pakistan sources on how this is because of that growing rift between Haqqanis and the Kandharis.
Well, as far as Pakistan is concerned, the country itself is on a verge of collapse. In fact, a few days back, there was a statement made that the Balochistan areas have been taken over by the Baloch rebels. The army have been withdrawn by a senior parliamentarian in Pakistan. Every now and then, we keep hearing about how, there are movements going on against Pakistan government and army. So, there is a lot of infighting within the groups existing in Pakistan, the rebel groups, and, there's a lot of anger within the people against the government as well.
Absolutely. Siddhant, thank you so much for joining us with all the latest. Let's now shift our focus and talk about the equation that has sort of changed between the United States of America and Ukraine after the change of stance of United States of America with Russia specifically. But there is a meeting that is on the cards with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky along with the President of United States of America, Mr. Donald Trump, on a minerals deal agreement that the nation has signed with the US. We'll get you all the details about that agreement and what is expected to happen as far as that big meet is concerned in this next story as I say goodbye.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is set to meet with President Donald Trump at the White House, in part to discuss a natural resources agreement that would potentially give the United States access to Ukraine's rare minerals, as well as oil and gas.
We'll be really partnering with Ukraine in terms of rare earth. We very much need rare earth. They have great rare earth.
Zelensky has been cautious about the agreement. While he says the proposal could be a, quote, big success, he added it would depend on talks with Trump.
If we understand that the US will be one of the countries or one of the leading countries who give security guarantees, then this could be a success or the first step towards the sustainable fair peace growth of the Ukrainian economy.
In the days leading up to the visit, French President Emmanuel Macron and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer traveled to Washington for critical talks about Ukraine. Both stressed the need for security guarantees from the U.S. to ensure Russia keeps its promises if there is a peace agreement.
We want peace swiftly, but we don't want an agreement that is weak.
We want to work with you to make sure that peace deal is enduring, that it lasts, that it's a deal that goes down as a historic deal.
According to a senior administration official, the minerals deal Trump plans to sign alongside Zelensky does not provide explicit security guarantees for future American support to Kyiv.
A very good evening. You're watching Plain Speak. I'm Akanksha Swaroop. The DMK student wing has protested today against Union MOS Education Sukanto Majumdar's IIT Madras visit today. They've opposed the NEP and alleged the Hindi imposition while demanding release of withheld central education funds. Continuing with his anti-BJP tirade, the Chief Minister M.K. Stalin as well has nudged people of Tamil Nadu to stand together and fight for their rights as he identified the battle for language and the fight against delimitation as two critical challenges. So in a rapidly evolving India where multilingualism is a gateway to cognitive development, cultural integration and global opportunity,